respect your intentions. Barakallahu fikum. Let's get started. We're continuing our literal breakdown of the summary of obligatory knowledge. So I'll be translating the terms of the text as literally as I can, insha'Allah ta'ala. If you have the brief explanation of the summary, or if you have the lucid word, or if you have the clear expression, all of those, the translations of the summary in those books are approximately what I'm translating. Not the explanation part of those books, just the text only. So we're going to start from where we left off, and that is here at the saying of the author. And we are in the sayings of apostasy. The author said, may Allah have mercy on him. Oh, call, or for someone to say, Ana bari'un min Allah. I am innocent of God. That means I have nothing to do with God. Oh, min al malaika, or from the angels. Oh, min an nabi, or from the prophet. I am innocent of the angels or innocent of the prophet. Yani, I have nothing to do with them. Oh, min al-sharia. Oh, min al-islam. Or innocent of the sacred law or innocent of Islam. That's explicit blasphemy. Any one of those is explicit blasphemy. To say, I am bari, innocent. I have nothing to do with, or min Allah, with God, or the angels, or the prophet, or the sacred law, or Islam. That's explicit blasphemy. Oh, call. Or for one to say, La a'rifu al-hukm. I do not know the judgment. Mustahzi'an bihukmillah. Belittling the judgment of Allah. So there we go again. Mustahzi'an. He said that in this way. In which way? In the way of belittling. So then that means it's not explicit kufr for someone to say, I don't know the judgment. Like what? How could someone say that and it's not blasphemy? Like if someone were to say, like if someone really didn't know the judgment. And then someone asked him, what's the judgment? And so he said, La a'rifu al-hukm. I don't know the judgment. So, of course, that's not blasphemy. So these words are not explicit blasphemy. Look at, that's a very good example. Because that's a case where just the apparent meaning of the statement doesn't even take you to think about blasphemy. If someone said, I don't know the judgment, that doesn't make a bell go off, that doesn't make a light bulb go off, or that doesn't bring you to alert to say, I don't know the judgment. So it seems like a perfectly normal statement to say, especially if you don't know the judgment. So then, in what way could that be blasphemy when someone says that in the belittling way? And he says, I don't know the judgment. So that would be like if someone knows Abu Asiya, but he doesn't respect Abu Asiya, so he says, I don't know Abu Asiya. I don't know any Abu Asiya. So that would be disrespectful. May Allah protect and bless our brother. Ameen. So like that, if someone said it about the religious judgment, it would be blasphemy. So here, to remind you, usually when the shaykh says, intending to say such and such, intending belittlement, then that means it's not explicit blasphemy. Why? Because when it is explicit blasphemy, the shaykh does not say intending. Why not? Because it doesn't matter what you intend when the statement is explicit. When the statement is explicit, what matters is what you understand from the word. So if you know what the word really means when it's an explicit statement of blasphemy, and then you say it anyway, even if you claim that you intended a new meaning, you still commit blasphemy. And so the shaykh wouldn't say after an explicit blasphemy that he said that intending it in such and such way. There is no other way for him to intend it. Rather, he would say, in that case, after an explicit statement, he would say, that's not blasphemy if he understands from it that it means such and such. Meaning, if he thinks that it means such and such. So be mindful of that wording, because that will help you maneuver through the chapter of apostasy and blasphemy for yourself and for others if you teach someone. The author said, "Oh, call وَقَدْ مَلَأَ وِعَاءً," or one said, while having filled a container, or one said, while having filled a container, yani he recited the saying of Allah, وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا, which means a cup filled to the brim. So where's the blasphemy there? So the meaning here is that the person is disrespecting the ayah of the Quran. It's like he's saying, when he fills his cup and he doesn't respect the religion, and he remembered that ayah, he knows that ayah, and he doesn't respect the religion. So while he fills the cup, he recites this ayah out of disrespect. And he says, وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا, as if he's saying, this is your verse of the Quran. So that's blasphemy. Oh, أَفْرَغَ شَرَابًا, or he emptied a drink, or if someone emptied a drink, فَقَالَ, and then said, again out of disrespecting the ayah, فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. So same thing. He emptied out the cup, or emptied out the drink, and while he's emptying it, for example, he remembers this ayah, he knows this ayah, and to disrespect it, he recites it. So he empties the drink and he says, فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا, and it was a mirage. It disappeared like a mirage. So that's blasphemy. أو عند وزن أو كيل, or upon weighing or measuring by volume, kail, the same thing, reciting an ayah out of context while disrespecting it. He says, وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ, and when they measure for their customers by volume or weight, they cheat. And when they measure for their customers by volume or weight, they cheat. So someone, when measuring by weight or volume, recites this ayah to disrespect the ayah. أو عند رؤية جمع, or upon sighting a crowd or a gathering. he sees a gathering or a crowd and he knows the ayah from the Quran and he remembers it at that moment, and then he recites it to make fun of it. And he says, وَحَشَرْنَاهُمْ فَلَمْ نُغَادِرْ مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا. And we have gathered them and we did not leave out any one of them. بِقَصْدِ الْإِسْتِخْفَافِ فِي الْكُلِّ. With the intent or the goal of belittling or sacrilege concerning all of them. With the goal of sacrilege concerning all of them. بِمَعْنَى هَذِهِ الْآيَاتِ. In the meaning of these verses. Was that clear, brothers and sisters? Let me know before I move on. Repeat the last one. Yes. So the last one is this ayah from Surah Al-Kahf, ayah 47. It means, وَحَشَرْنَاهُمْ, and we have gathered them, meaning Allah gathered them on Judgment Day. فَلَمْ نُغَادِرْ مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا. And we did not leave out any one of them or exclude any one of them. So if someone saw a crowd or a gathering and then he remembered this verse upon seeing that, and then he recited it to make fun of the verse, like he has no respect for the verse, and he says when he sees that crowd, وَحَشَرْنَاهُمْ فَلَمْ نُغَادِرْ مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا. Then he blasphemes. Is that clear? Okay. وَكَذَا, and likewise, كُلُّ مَوْضِعٍ, every spot, أُسْتُعْمِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ, in which the Quran is used. Here, كُلُّ مَوْضِعٍ اسْتُعْمِلَ. كُلُّ مَوْضِعٍ, there's a tanween there. كُلُّ مَوْضِعٍ. The next word is ustu'mila with a dhamma. The first haraka is a dhamma. Ustu'mila. Ustu'mila. وَكَذَا كُلُّ مَوْضِعٍ ustu'mila. But if you read it all the way through without stopping, that dhamma is going to get dropped and you're going to bring a kasrah. So you would say, وَكَذَا كُلُّ مَوْضِعٍ اسْتُعْمِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ بِذَلِكَ الْقَصْدِ. And likewise, every spot in which the Quran is used with that goal or that aim or that intention. Those two words, by the way, those are good words you can use as synonyms for intention, aim, and goal. You can use them in some contexts like intention. That helps when you give a lesson to be able to use some different words sometimes. فَإِنْ كَانَ بِغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ الْقَصْدِ. So if it were for other than that goal, if reciting the Quran out of context were for other than that goal, فَلَا يَكْفُرْ, then one does not blaspheme. لكن, however, قال الشيخ أحمد بن حجر, said Shaykh Ahmad ibn Hajar, and that's Al-Haytami, not Al-Asqalani. Ahmad ibn Hajar al-Haytami, not al-Asqalani. There are two Ahmad ibn Hajars. Both of them are Shafi'is. One is an elite master of hadith, headmaster. An elite headmaster of hadith, that's Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. And one is a shaykh in the Shafi'i school, Shaykh Ahmad ibn Hajar al-Haytami. قال الشيخ أحمد بن حجر, said Shaykh Ahmad ibn Hajar, لا تبعد حرمته. The prohibition, its prohibition is not far. لا تبعد حرمته. Its prohibition is not far. What's prohibition? Reciting the Quran out of context without the intention of belittling. It means it's still haram. It's haram, of course. You cannot recite the Quran out of context. You cannot produce the ayahs of the Quran for other than what they mean. وَكَذَا يَكْفُرُ مَنْ شَتَمَ نَبِيًّا. And likewise blasphemes whoever insulted a prophet. أَوْ مَلَكَ, or an angel. أَوْ قَالَ, or if one were to say, أَكُونُ قَوَّادًا إِن صَلَّيْتَ. I will be a pimp if I prayed. It means he's saying, I would be a bad person. I'd be a horrible person if I prayed. It's like he's saying, I'd be a monster if I prayed. I'd be a scoundrel if I were to do that. So that's blasphemy because he's belittling the prayer. Oh, or ma asabtu khayran mundu sallayt. If someone were to say, I have not gained any good. Ma asabtu, I didn't hit, meaning I didn't get. Khayran, any good. Mundu sallayt, since I have prayed. That's also blasphemy. Oh, or if someone said, as-salatu, prayer, la tasluhu li, is not suitable for me, or is not good for me, because the istihza, with the intention of belittling. So then that means this last statement in particular, for someone to say, prayer is not suitable for me, with the intention of belittling, then how could it be with another intention? In what way? Like if a woman were menstruating and then someone said to her, pray. So she said, as-salatu la tasluhu li. The prayer is not suitable for me. So then she would not blaspheme. So you see how those statements go, brothers and sisters. Really, the issue of blasphemy is very easy, very easy. The rules are not difficult. You only have few things you need to pay attention to. One is the language. You might not be a master in the language, but it's important to understand how language goes. That's part of the point behind all these examples. So that even if you're not a linguist, you can see how some statements come and just you have one set of words, but if you take them this way, it's kufr. If you take them another way, it's not kufr. Ask yourself sometimes if some statement is concerning you. How could this not be kufr? How could this be taken another way? You might find an answer for yourself. You might say, well, if he meant it this way, then it wouldn't be kufr. Okay, khalas. Don't judge him as a kafir. Don't call anybody. Don't send text messages. Khalas. You found a way out for him. If you want, advise him. Just to be sure, tell him, listen, if you said that, if you meant this, that's kufr. So be careful. Don't say stuff like that. Oh, call Ali Muslim, or had one said to a Muslim, Ana aduwuk, I am your enemy. That's not kufr. That's not kufr to say to a Muslim, I'm your enemy. Unless he meant because you're a Muslim, then it would be kufr. So that's not explicit. If he just means I'm your enemy because I hate your guts, you, not for your religion, but for you, then it's not kufr at all. وَعَدُوُّ نَبِيِّكَ, and the enemy of your prophet. That's explicit blasphemy. Oh, li sharif, or if someone said to a descendant of the prophet, a sharif from the lineage of Al-Hasan or Al-Hussein, had he said to that sharif, Ana aduwuk, I am your enemy, again, not explicit blasphemy, wa adu jaddik, and the enemy of your grandfather. Here also is not explicit blasphemy. He says to someone who's a descendant of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, I am your enemy and the enemy of your grandfather. That's not explicit blasphemy. So that's why the shaykh said, Muridani Nabi, meaning the Prophet. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Oh, yaqul, or one says, shay'an, anything, min nahwi hadhihi al-alfaz, from the likes of these expressions, al-bashi'ati shani'ah, these despicable, abominable expressions. Or one says anything in the realm of these despicable, abominable expressions. وَقَدْ عَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِّنَ الْفُقَهَاءِ, and many of the jurists, كالفقيه الحنفي بدر الرشيد, like the Hanafi faqih Badr al-Rashid, wal-Qadi Iyad, and Judge Iyad, rahimahumullah, may Allah have mercy on them, they counted, ashya'a kathira, many things, many cases of blasphemy. They listed them or enumerated them, many cases. They wrote books, booklets, and treatises about that. فَيَنْبَغِي الِاطِّلَاعُ عَلَيْهَا, and so they should be seen. فَيَنْبَغِي, should, الِاطِّلَاعُ عَلَيْهَا, seeing them is a must. Yani, al-ittila', seeing, or being exposed to them is a must. فَإِنَّ مَنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفِ الشَّرَّ يَقَعُ فِيهِ, for indeed, who did not know the evil falls into it. Whoever does not know evil falls into it. You said, please explain that, because the Prophet is their grandfather, but they have many grandfathers, isn't it? If a person is alive today, 1400 years after the Prophet, and he's a descendant of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, and someone said to him, I am your enemy and the enemy of your grandfather. That's not explicit. He has many grandfathers. So if he meant the Prophet, then it would be blasphemy. If he meant another grandfather, then it's not blasphemy. That's clear? Okay. Al-Qaida, the rule is anna, that kulla aqdin, every conviction, aw fi'lin, or action, aw qawlin, or saying, yadullu ala istighfafin billah, that proves sacrilege for God, aw kutubih, or his books, aw rusulih, or his messengers, aw malaikatih, or his angels, aw sha'airihi, or his signs, a ma'alimi dini, meaning the symbols of his religion, like what? Like the Kaaba, like the congregational prayer, like the woman's head cover, like the man's beard, like the adhan, the masjid, the Kaaba, the Hajj. All of those are signs of Allah's religion. So belittling any of that is blasphemy. Not anyone's beard, not any woman's head cover. The beard as a sign of the religion. The head cover, the Muslim woman's head cover as a sign of the religion. That's when it's blasphemy. Aw ahkami, or his rules or judgments. Any conviction, action, or saying that belittles his rules or judgments. Aw wa'di, or his promise to admit the believers to paradise. Aw wa'idi, or his threat to torture the sinners, is kufr, blasphemy. فَلْيَحْذَرِ الْإِنسَانُ, so let the human beware. Min dhalika, of that, jahdahu, to his utmost, ala ayyi hal, in every circumstance. So let the human beware of that to his utmost in every circumstance. And how about we stop there?